Welcome to the Immerse podcast. We are your hosts, Alex O'Keefe and Dan Ramsden.
We aim to immerse you in education via our guests, bring communities together, embrace positive change and help create solid habits that yield the path for our health and longevity.
Right, here we go. Right, we're rocking.
Let's do this.
Episode number 2 of the day. This is new for us, guys, isn't it?
Back to back.
Back to back, mate. And now we've got Mr. Dan Temm, the man from Puresport. Not the founder, but the CEO.
That's right.
That's right, mate. Kindly made us aware of that before, mate. Thanks for joining us, pal.
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Just to explore our connection, you weirdly somehow ended up New Zealand to Halifax. Somehow you ended up in our hometown, mate, and we believe in these connections. You know, we're all connected in some sort of way. So correct me if I'm wrong, mate, you came to the UK and you were playing rugby over here?
Playing cricket. Yeah, I came over as a cricketer.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So you've got rugby, cricket and all sorts in the arsenal, mate.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was just obsessed with sport. When I was 18, finishing school, I was like, I just want to be a professional sports player at something. And I was actually a much better cricketer. Yeah. And at the time, my cricket coach at the school, he was English. He moved to New Zealand. He'd been there about 7 or 8 years. But I sort of said to him, do you think I could go to England and play cricket?
Oh,
and he said, yeah, I think you could. And one thing led to another. And I managed to find a club in Halifax at the time. And went and played at Worley initially.
Worley, right.
Yeah, so I lived in Sorby Bridge, played at Worley. It was funny, like being a young 18-year-old lad in New Zealand, like, you know, Googling Halifax, seeing where it was on the map, looking to see what was around and stuff.
You'll have seen the highlights of it, no doubt, not everything else.
Getting the microscope out. It's a small town, isn't it?
But came over and got stuck in, and then anyway, the cricket ended up taking a back seat and ended up playing rugby at Old Crosslands.
Right, that was a connection,
That's definitely not a back seat, mate. That's you've gone from, I'm not saying cricket's not a tough sport, but it's a different kind of game, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. My dad used to always say to me, he's like, why the hell are you trying to play rugby? It's like cricket, you play in the sunshine, when it rains, you go inside, there's a big lunch, no one's trying to take your head off, and now you're trying to play rugby and people are just trying to take your head off the whole time. It's play all through the winter, it's freezing cold. But in England it was just a bit easier to sort of get your way with rugby. Like it was just a bit more supported in terms of like jobs and places to live and just all that sort of stuff. And so I was playing at Old Crosslands, and then that's when I was working a bit for Phil as a labourer. Big shout out, Phil. And we called ourselves the Yorkshire Stone Lifters because he used to always just call us when there was another Kiwi guy living in the club, a friend of mine called Angus. And he used to call us up when he had jobs like digging out basements or big rocks to move and stuff. Yeah. So we used to go and do that, 50 quid and a bacon sandwich.
And that's good pay.
Yeah, we were buzzing because we had no rent, and as you boys know, 50 quid goes a long way in Acapulco. So
we're going to have to let people know the Acapulco, Halifax, 75p a drink.
Until 10.
Until 10.
More you drink, more you save.
Yeah.
The queue at 5 to 10, buying like 8 VKs and a few Jaeger bombs.
But that's beautiful foundations, mate. And obviously now you're playing a massive role at Puresport, this fast-growing brand, mate, based down here in London. And it's just two completely different worlds, isn't it? I suppose, like me and Dan have come down, we're like looking at these buildings, like, whoa, where are we?
We've got the Tower Bridge just over there.
Yeah, literally, man. Yeah, so it's like, how have you adapted, coming down here, first of all, man?
Yeah, so I'd say when I was in Leeds and then in Newcastle, I was very much a northern boy. I was like, you come down to London, and I was like, it's too busy, it's too expensive, there's too many people. But then when I got the chance, when I was my last year at Newcastle, going into my last year in Newcastle, I managed to do a deal with the Sevens, Rugby Sevens. So I was like kind of half at England Sevens and then half with Newcastle, kind of depending on when games were and stuff. So I got to play for England, which was awesome as like a young Kiwi boy. My mum was English, so I had a passport and stuff, so I was like able to do that. I wasn't one of these ones who'd been here 5 years and then was able to do it. And so that was down in London. So that's when I got my first taste. And what I realised was when you're down here, it's a much different life, because when you just come down for a boozer or for the weekend or to go to Twickenham or something, you're always in the busy spots. It's always full on. But when you're actually down here, you kind of have your own pockets. And after that year, I got a chance to play at Ealing, which was a club here in North London. And then I've sort of been in London since then. I then went to Bedford, which was commutable from London. as like a fast train or not too far to drive, about an hour 15. And that's where I met Grayson, one of the co-founders of Puresport. He asked me if I wanted to jump on and join the journey with him and Adam at the time.
Yeah.
And then I've been in London ever since. So as a boy from small town Rotorua in New Zealand, it's all like a bit full on. But I sort of say to people, because everyone says, oh, why are you here instead of New Zealand and the relaxed lifestyle and stuff? And I sort of feel like life's really in chapters. And so the chapter that I'm in now, I'm on the rat race, trying to grow the business. I love being around London, the fast pace. I'm sure if kids come into it and there's other things down the line, I'm sure that maybe isn't as appealing. But I have really enjoyed it.
You're quite high octane energy as well, so I think it's sort of suitable. You know, you're just a high viber. We got that.
Your energy's bouncing.
We had that call, didn't we? When we were initially meeting, we just had a bit of a video call just to touch base, and we were just like, that guy's energy is awesome. I love it. So I guess it's suitable for you as a character, isn't it? Right now as well. So
I think I'm not really like a very deep person. I sort of wake up every day and I believe that every day can be a good day, no matter how bad the day was before. And in the job that I'm in, or in the startup world, like fuck me, you have some bad days. So I've sort of like really take that as part of my character. But I call myself like a delusional optimist. Like I really see the best in people. I see the best in situations. Like sometimes that comes back to burn you, I think. But I think overall, seeing the world in that way, it works out better than it does seeing it the other way. So
well, you probably agree, but delusional optimism is probably my middle name as well. 100%. But it's one of those. It's like you have a choice, don't you? You have a choice to believe in something or not, and even just making that choice to believe that you're going to be open to more like opportunities and seeing the positives in things, and I just think it's a good way to live, mate.
I think like in New Zealand, I think a couple of things on this. Like I think I think the UK is quite a cynical culture, and like
especially up north.
There's that thing about. But I think especially in business, I've really experienced that with Puresport. I had another business before this. And kind of like as you're pulling ahead, people are kind of like, trying to pull you down or whatever. America's the other end of the corner, though. It's a crazy place of the world. There is that real optimism about you can be anything in the American dream. I'd say New Zealand's probably somewhere in the middle, still quite cynical. But when I decided it, I was going to come to England and try and play cricket. Like I was 18 years old. And looking back now, or meeting other 18-year-olds, I'm like, that is mental. That my mum, because she was crying at the airport, like, oh my God, my oldest boy's going. And I was like, why is she crying? I'm a full-grown man, if I go have my cricket bag and just left for the other side of the world. But I think like, and that's sort of like always been a part of my DNA of like, it'll be fine. I'll just go over there and figure it out and play a bit of cricket. And then cricket didn't work out. I'll play a bit of rugby and just sort of like bounce my way through. But I think especially in business and especially in Puresport, like I genuinely believe we're going to change the world, and that's part of our mission. We talk about we want to stand against the quick fix mentality, and we think we know that the world is obsessed with the quick fix mentality at the moment of wanting things, wanting them fast, opening up your phone, wanting overnight abs, whatever that might be. And I believe that we are growing something, we're already having an impact on people's lives and how they view the world and connection and exercise. But I do believe we're going to grow something that changes the world, and that does take a delusional optimism to wake up every day and think that you guys are going to be the ones to do that. But I really do believe that.
Even the fact that you believe that gives you a better chance than someone who doesn't. So you're already closer to that goal. And I think you're impacting a lot more people than you actually think, because even up north, everyone's talking about it for the long run. The bottles are everywhere. We've just come out of an interview with Lucy Bronze, the England, lioness superstar. She's using your products. How does that feel?
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, we had someone get married in our socks last week.
Nice.
Honestly, I can't. You just can't explain it really. It's I just have these crazy experiences all the time. I was at Heathrow Airport going out to Chicago the other day. A guy in front of me had a Puresport bottle in his backpack. It's just like amazing. But
did you say something?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course you did.
I can't believe people think that's when people think I'm a weirdo, because I'm buzzing to see them and they're like. I had this crazy one in Otley maybe like 4 months ago. I was up there seeing a friend of mine, and we're driving into Otley along that road on the way in, and gosh, there's someone running there. They've got Puresport socks on, because I can see the socks. drove past, couldn't pull over, it was like a main sort of road and whatever, and then about 300 metres further up there was another lady running with Puresport socks on as well. I was like, this is mental. So I turned around, pulled up in a farmer's tractor thing and whatever, stood there, and they came, I was like, hey look, you got the Puresport socks on, fist bump for the long run, you know. And then they were kind of like, who is this guy? But yeah, I'm buzzing to see. I say to people, like, my favourite thing about business is being around a table in a room with people when an idea gets shared or something comes to life, whether it's like a new product or a campaign or something like that. And then lots of work goes around the whole team to bring that idea to life, you know, whatever it is. And then that idea goes out to the world, and then you see the world enjoying it. I think that's the most amazing thing. Hearing Lucy takes the products, seeing someone in the socks, seeing someone at Heathrow with the drink bottle, you honestly can't, like, there's nothing better in business than that.
The little things, isn't it? The little bits of gratitude along the way. Because there's a lot of shit in business, so obviously taking those little wins, but just hearing your passion and your enthusiasm for it is just, it's really nice to see. And I think that's a huge part in the success and the belief of, you've got a big team now. You know, you were explaining earlier, you came into the ride about 10 months in, and then you're taking it to a different place now, and I think it's the people that you're attracting along that journey. It's not just a supplement brand. You do events, you know, there's other things in there. There's a community of people as well, and I think it's just part of the vibe and the energy that you're giving off, you know. It's awesome, it really is. I
say to people, like, you know, on the face of it, what we sell is, you know, energy, hydration, recovery products, but what we really sell is the feeling that you're part of something bigger. And you know, we really talk about how actually at Puresport we do have a genuine positive impact on people's lives, and some people that's through the products, some people that's through our content, inspiring them to exercise. That might be someone you meet who's got the drink bottle at the gym, and then you become mates and you start working out together, whatever that may be. And so we kind of have this mindset of the bigger business that we are, the more people that we help. And that kind of then fuels that fire, because the more we grow, the more people that we help. So the harder we go, the better it is. And I don't think there's many jobs that you genuinely have a positive impact on people's lives, and I think that's a very empowering thing. And I, like me myself, like, I don't want us to grow a big business because I want to be rich. Like, actually, I'm not really bothered about, you know, that part of it. And I'm really bothered about the stories, the purpose of the brand, you know. And we've had like insane stuff, you know. I mentioned there about people getting married in the socks. We had someone who was on the verge of suicide, started coming down to the community events, made a new group of friends, then totally turned his life around from that. You know, there was a big article he did in the paper about that he would have committed suicide if he hadn't come down to that. And we hear stories like that all the time. We had an amazing lady called Jen. She's lost like, I think about 8 stone over the last 12 months since she first came to one of our events, taken a 10K time from I think like an hour 10 to like, you know, around 50 minutes now, and we helped her break her first 10-minute mile a few weeks ago. Brilliant. So like those things and hearing those people, but I think it's more like my favourite bit about the community part of it is when people come into the Puresport network, they actually don't know what they're capable of. And we see them there and they're a bit shy and like, oh, I'm not sure I can do this. Yeah. And the journey we watch people go on, whether we're watching them on socials or they're actually coming to the events, and seeing the person that they become, that they didn't know when they first came to us, that's like a super inspiring thing.
I can't help but draw reference to what you've just explained there with the community, and one of my good friends is Luke Ambler, who started Andy's Man Club, and there's no difference between someone going to that club and it's saving their life to someone coming to your club and the same thing happening. So there's parallels there, isn't there? It's like, you know, you're a brand and you're selling things, but you're also offering that like place of belonging.
Yeah, that is. So what I say about community. And it's like rawest form, it's like a group of people that have something in common, you know. So like even just meeting you boys, and we know Halifax. It's like we have this like shared thing, and it's kind of an interesting, you know, concept really, because let's just say I'm in a pub and I hear someone with a New Zealand accent, right? I don't really have the right to have that much more in common with that person than anybody else in the pub, except that thing that I know they're from New Zealand. But I'm like, oh mate, you're from New Zealand. Where are you from? You know, All Blacks. Yeah, we're chatting. And like so I think like when community is really powerful, is when that thing that you have in common, it does like surround you with your people or make you feel like you belong. And I think that's why Puresport, but more specifically probably like exercise, really drives that, because when we bring a whole group of people together and they're in the room, it's just buzzing. Like, we don't have to get up there and say, hey, we're Puresport, you know, this is what we stand for, we want to support you on your journey for the long run. People just get it because you're surrounded by your people. And I think like us as humans, we are social beings, and being around other human beings for thousands of years has been has something that's felt really good. And I think the three things that Puresport stands for is putting good things in your body, exercise, and meaningful social connection with other humans. Those things that everybody knows that those things are good for you. So, you know, like when you interact with the brand, and you know, hopefully me and other people, and when we do stuff, it's very authentic, because that thing that we stand for, it actually lives in everybody's DNA. And I think that's why lots of people say to me, like, why does Puresport feel like this? You know, like that place of belonging, etc. It's like, it's because we've always been led by authenticity, and we've never sat down and tried to strategize around community and be like, hey, here's the outcome that we want. Let's try and reverse engineer these things to get that outcome, to give us more sales, or to do this or whatever.
And I think a lot of companies now are getting lost in that sensationalized marketing, you know, come here and feel good. But you know that's real when you feel it in person. So there's like, it's tough in it, because there is a lot of companies using marketing to kind of reel people in a false sort of way. But it's just great to see that, you know, us guys with the saunas, it's all real, you know, feel the real connection, and you guys are connection. And so yeah, I mean, it's important for people to understand that there's companies using that in a bit of a negative way as well.
I mean, community has become the most overused word in marketing in the last 3 years. And like,
absolutely.
I hate it. And like, people think that, or those big brands think that community is getting some people down and giving them a goodie bag, and then be like, hey, get in a photo quick, we're going to post it on our thing. But we really obsess about all the small details there. You know, we fist bump every single person that comes to our thing, and we make sure people are seen. You know, we really go the extra mile on that. And I when we came up with For the Long Run, you know, and like I sort of said to you about that quick fix mentality and For the Long Run, when we meet the people who resonate with that, they actually resonate with that quite deeply. You know, and so we know that we're not for everybody. You know, some people are like, actually, I do like the quick fixes, or I do want to take the shortcuts, or whatever that may be, and they're not for us. But the people who do resonate with what we're about, it's quite a deep, like, emotional connection. And I think even when we're younger, like, man, I can remember when I was 18, 19, and then getting into Old Crossings Rugby Club, and I wanted to put on weight, and I'd just take anything that I could, like the proteins thing, I just wanted to be jacked tomorrow. But then I think as we get older, and we start to learn a bit more about life, you know, we start to learn that actually all the best things in life are those things where we put in the effort, and we show up for ourselves, and we commit.
Slow burners.
And it's a bit of a rough journey sometimes, and sometimes it's crap, and sometimes it's good. But those things, and when we get to the outcome that we want, we look back and go, oh man, I actually loved that part of the journey. So I think that that's a natural evolution that we all go on as in terms of like growing up. And that's when For the Long Run, I think, really resonates with people.
Yeah, I must say that's a great line, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a
great line.
Yeah. It's longevity, isn't it? Ultimately, that is the most important thing, isn't it? You know, it's not here today, gone tomorrow. Same as your health. You're in the health game, but it's having those pure intentions, I think, is the key in it. Some people get into a market or an industry based on that being the thing at the time. You've got to come from that authentic angle, aren't you? And a true passion for what it all stands for, and living it as well. You know, so do you live the message day in, day out? Are you still hitting the gym and getting down with the guys in the community and stuff? Are you still living that life
I mean,
yourself?
The community's my favourite part. I mean, as you guys know, like the roller coaster of the startup world means like sometimes you're on it, and then sometimes you're in a hellhole, not eating, not exercising, not doing anything. So it does come in waves, but I'd say like For the Long Run encapsulates my life. Like I've never been super talented at anything, or never like had this gift of, oh, Dan's really good at that thing. Everything that I've got because I just work really, really hard at it. And if you met anyone from my school now, or you know, anyone I grew up with, and we're like, oh, you know, was Dan a good rugby player, or was Dan good at business in school or whatever, they'd be like, no, he wasn't. Like, he was just just work so hard at trying to be good at that thing because he really wanted to do it. So like For the Long Run resonates with me on like quite a deep level, because I really believe that humans are capable of much more than they generally think that they are. And that's part of what I said there. I really enjoy watching people go on that journey. But I really believe if you want to do something and you just show up and you give it the effort and you don't quit and you ride the resilience and you tell the little devil on your shoulder to get off because you're going to keep pushing through that thing, and you just keep going, you can do all sorts of things. And I think that, you know, if anything about me, like I'm a shining example of that, because just figure it out. And so For the Long Run really resonates with me, like my own journey to here, how I want to think about the next stage. And I've said this before, but I think what's so interesting about it as a line is it means something different to everybody. You know, you mentioned their longevity. For some people, it means commitment. For some people, they think about running. But in every situation that people, whatever they think it is, it's whatever we want it to mean. So we don't have to define it. And that's why it has so much emotional connection, because it's the same as just do it. You know, you might think, oh, just go and do this thing for my work tomorrow, or you might think, oh, I might just go and do this run, or I might think, oh, I've just got to get out there and do this thing. But in every situation, it means what Nike wants it to mean, and you don't have to explain it. And that's why For the Long Run, it leaves that room for interpretation that makes it kind of special.
Yeah, that's cool. You did mention earlier and touched on it about the struggles. You know, obviously people are now seeing what this brand has become and you know, the positive wave that you're on. Let's go back and put some context behind the actual struggles and something that you've been through, because, you know, it's obviously, it's that old cliche thing of, oh, you've got to keep going, you've got to be resilient. It's like, can you share some of that experience of some of the shit that you've been through in business and as a person?
Yeah, gosh. I think sport is such a great lesson learner in life, because I think it teaches us all kinds of things that we don't even know when we're going through it. You know, communication, feedback, being part of a team. But also I think outside of that, you know, effort. We talk a lot about how, like, in terms of skills, the skills are the things that the business can teach you, we can teach you and things, but we can't teach effort. You either give the effort or you don't. It's kind of up to you, and sport kind of teaches you that. But I think with sport as well, Larry, things like injuries, things like losing, things like not getting picked, you know, all those little life lessons that you can take away, I think that they ultimately build a lot of resilience in you as a person coming through, and often you don't think about that. And because I was lucky to play sport at the highest level, you probably get or at a high level, you get to have a bit more retro thinking about that. And I've had even more retro thinking about that transitioning into business. And one of the things I kind of struggled with is, in my first 2 years of business, I didn't realise how similar sport and business were. And now I just see them as the same. You know, it's about the team. People need feedback. People want to know the score. There's all sorts of things. Sometimes you have to play a different position and you might not want to, but it's the best thing for the team. All that sort of stuff. But what I struggled with there is, when you're in a rugby changing room, you look around and you think that everyone's different, right? Because he likes this kind of music and he drinks Guinness, but he drinks lager, and like, oh, these guys are so different. When you transition into the real world, you realise that actually that changing room was full of 99.9% similar blokes. The only thing that differentiated them was a little bit about what their taste or what they liked or how they dressed. When you go into the real world, you got like young adults coming straight out of uni. You've got at 18, 19 years old going into their first job, right through to 50-year-old dads of 3, and then you've got everything in between, you know, genders, interests, all that sort of stuff. It's like, gosh, this is actually a scope of difference. So I'd say, like, some of those challenges for me were probably some realization there about sport and business. Once I figured that out, business became a lot more simple to me. I'd say, you know, in any startup, you just make so many mistakes, right? And one of the things that we always kind of got behind is everything's a good idea when you're a new business, because there's so much opportunity for you to do loads of stuff. And I meet so many startups who are like presented with 3 different opportunities, and they might spend like a month exploring some different options of all 3 and whatever. Whereas our view was always like, let's just pick the one we believe in the most, and let's just get the whole team behind that one. And what I think I'm good at, is I'm good at making the team believe that I believe in that idea 100%, even if I only believe in it 35%, because I believe the power of an organisation and belief in that's the right way to go, I think is really powerful. I think some of our toughest struggles have been around cash, you know, and being first time kind of business people, and stock management and not having too much stock, and then recycling cash. And like, we've almost run out of cash, like really closely twice, and like within 2 days once. So that's a really scary thing, and you know, we've done all that stuff before of, you know, myself not being paid and holding back payroll, and you know, all those kinds of scary of things. So I think that would be something like, if I was to go back and do again, like much more education around that, like financial management. But nothing in a business will consume you more than cash, because it's like your lifeline. And when you start thinking about how many days you've got, about people in your team not getting paid, about they've got rent to pay, all those sorts of things, I call them in business pillow thoughts, where like you go to bed thinking about that thing. And if I'm going to bed thinking about how excited I am to get up tomorrow and grow the business, those are great pillow thoughts, because I'm buzzing. If I go to bed thinking about cash and this issue or that issue or lawyers or whatever, those aren't good pillow thoughts.
Good way of looking at it. That. Very good.
We can relate to the cash thing as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we've nearly run out several times.
Yeah.
But then, obviously, that for a lot of people in that situation, they quit.
Yeah.
So why have you not quit?
It's probably, if you met my wife, she would say that just like, I just wouldn't, to the point where it's probably unhealthy, I would say.
Okay.
And I don't know, I think, you know, one of the things I ask people when we're interviewing them to come and work at Puresport is I say, what's your superpower? To see what they think their superpower is. And because I've asked that question so many times, I've obviously thought about, if someone asked me the question, what would I say? And what I would say is that I have unbreakable self-belief. And that comes, you know, obviously resilience is a part of that, but I believe so much in what we're doing and the impact that can have, that actually there's been times in Puresport where I've pretty much been swimming upstream with a whole bag of bricks on my back just to try and navigate through this thing, because I believe that somewhere up there there's a life raft and I'll get on it and then we'll be back downstream again. So I think that sport obviously teaches you a lot about resilience and stuff, and I've really thought about resilience a lot, because I think it's one of the, when I think about my 3 most important things around leadership, it's one of my most important things. And then I have 3 things I think about, and it's one of them. And I do think a lot about if it's nature or nurture. And I actually think it's a mixture of both, but I think it's probably a lot more nurture. You know, your upbringing, your parents, how hard were they working, sport, injuries, you know, things that you've overcome. But one of the reasons I think running is so amazing is every time you go out the door to run, at some moment in that run, you get this little thing on your shoulder being like, oh man, your knee's sore. Oh God, it's colder than you thought. And
2 minutes in.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I was going to do 10K, but maybe I just do 8K. And what I say to people about running, but also about life, is every time you tell that little devil on your shoulder to bugger off, you build resilience. Because then the next time, you've been there before. And it's like, oh no, I was complaining about my knee last time, but actually I kept going and it was fine. And I really believe that resilience is a muscle, and the more that we train it, the better we get at it. And that's where, and anybody who's been through a startup experience can resonate with that, because things that you used to lose sleepless nights over before and whatever, like you tell me that now, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm not that surprised. Like let's think about it. Let's decide what we're going to do and like let's move on.
But so, not in an emotional way. Just like, oh yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just a little bump. We'll get through it.
Yeah,
that kind of attitude.
So yeah, I mean, the 3 things that I think are the most important things about leadership, or the things that I try and pride myself on, are like consistency. That's both consistency in mood, but also consistency in performance. Like I want to be someone that the team can trust, that I just don't have bad games. I can go out there, I may not be scoring a hat-trick every single week, but Dan will never have a bad game. Every time he shows up through the door, he puts in the effort and he has good games. Also consistency in your mood, because if you're someone that's super energetic and then you're super low, then that puts a lot of people on edge, you know. As you guys said, I'm a bit of an energetic character, so I have to carry that reputation through the team, and I carry a lot of the buzz of the office because of that. The second thing I think is vulnerability. You know, I think like we all go through a lot of stuff, and actually seeing the vulnerability in leaders of the things that they're going through, or you know, openness, you know, feedback, all those sorts of things, I think is extremely important. And I think the third thing is resilience. Like in any leadership position, it's often very isolating. You know, you're dealing with a lot of things that you may not be able to share, or they're personal to you. So I sort of try and pride myself on those 3 things. And I have done for probably like the last 10 years.
Yeah. the supplement industry is huge. What differentiates your actual products to other companies? You know, because you work alongside elite athletes and they can't take anything that's not above board in those realms. That's one thing. Is there anything else that you can assure people if they're sort of thinking, well, I get it all the time, I'm a coach, what's this product like, should I take this? So it's a case of what is it that you offer in terms of your range, and what's your promise as a company when it comes to the products themselves? Yeah,
so we operate in one of the busiest categories, and part of that is because there's an extremely low barrier to entry. Like anybody can make a supplement brand. I'm sure we've all seen people like, how are they selling supplements? And when we saw that, we saw a lot of opportunity because, like you say, it's a big market. It's dominated really by a number of big characters, MyProteins, bulks, grenades, science and sports, and then it's highly fragmented, below that. And what we really looked at is, and what we think about is the category is full of shortcuts and gimmicks and crap, and like we really stand against that. And there's so many people jumping on that next fad, and this is going to be the thing, and gummies or this or that, and we really stand against that. And what we talk about is we're building the product portfolio for everything that you need and nothing that you don't, and we want to sell a range of products for everything you need for before, during and after running. And once we've really honed in on running, we really want that to be before, during and after exercise. So what we sell is a range of like clean science-backed supplements, and you'll always get the best quality from us. Like one of our values in the business is no shortcuts. That's just the foundation of our business. But what we say is like the category doesn't need more noise, it needs leadership. And we really want to emerge as that person, the leader in the category. And while all these people are shouting over here about that next quick fix or that thing, we're over here leading with the things that the people actually need. We develop all our products alongside a scientific advisor, Dr. Sam Impey, who's one of the best sports scientists in the country. And then outside of that, we really saw it as like a highly functional category. In the category, people are talking about, take this, it's got 25 grams of protein, like one scoop, like this sort of thing. It's like very functional language. There was no emotion to the category. And in every other consumer category, it's driven by emotion. Our purchases around Nikes and around Apples and around Coca-Colas and these other huge consumer brands, people like feel something when they interact with the brand, and that doesn't happen in sports nutrition. And when we said we were going to be that brand that was going to grow like an emotional connection to the brand, like I'm sure you guys can all think about your MyProteins and your bulks and whatever, and you're not thinking like, oh, I love that brand because they've got this purpose and they've got these values and they've got that. And you're like, I'm looking around to see what's on discount, what the price is, etc.
That's true, man.
Yeah,
and so hitting the numbers, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it. And so we wanted to grow something that has the products that people need, but it's also a brand that people like feel like they want to be a part of. And that's why I say that when you're buying into Puresport, you're buying into something bigger.
Sorry to interrupt you there, guys. We've got a massive announcement, Dan. We've managed to partner with Puresport, which is one of the most exciting brands at the minute in the UK, my friend.
That's it, built to last, in it for the long run, as the hashtag says. All the similar sorts of messages behind the ethos of the brand, and it really fits in alignment with us. We know that they're athlete tested.
Even Lucy Bronze is using their products. She's a friend of the show.
The magnesium and the ashwagandha and all those other products that are related to recovery are super useful for me right now. I'm really feeling the benefit. The electrolytes is definitely the best I've tasted.
They're the best I've tasted as well, without sounding biased, my friend. But yeah, it just lines up with everything that we preach, mate. No shortcuts, just solid daily habits that actually make you feel better.
If you want to try these guys, use the Immerse 10 for 10% off at the checkout.
Now back to the episode. Sorry for interrupting you there. Crack on.
Let's go.
Because the products are like our commercial vehicle for that. We need to sell something, and we're highly passionate about putting good things in your body. But the ultimate vision for Puresport is to be, a brand of support for everything that you need. If you need community runs, if you need training, if you need hoodie, if you need a pair of socks, if you need a drink bottle, like we're trying to grow this ecosystem of what it is. And when people interact with other people from Puresport, to be like, oh man, this guy, he looks after himself. Like he's part of the thing. Like he's thinking about longevity. He's thinking about commitment. He's anti-quick fix. And when people meet each other, then that have that like empowering feeling. I think that's what really makes us special.
And that's why you pull over and give people a fist bump. Yeah, that's it. That deeper level.
I had this mad one at Paris Marathon in April last year, and it was like when you're in the, have you done running races before, and you go into like your pens, and they kind of put you in your time blocks.
Yeah.
And I was in that block, so like you could not be around a group of people you had more in common with. You know, you're all in the 15 minutes like marathon block or whatever time you're trying to run. They've all been doing some training. You're all about to run a marathon. Like that is like very similar group of people when we're talking about community and having something in common. And I saw this guy there and had pink Puresport socks on, and I had pink Puresport socks on, but he hadn't seen mine, and he was there in his like charity kit. I think he was wearing Macmillan kit, and I just went over and was like, "Hey man," he's looking at me like, "Who's this guy? What's he doing?" I was like, pointed down at his socks, and he looked down at his socks and looked down. And he saw that I had the pink socks on as well, and then he looked up, man, and we just had this massive hug.
Is it like that? Did we just become best friends?
Yeah. And I was like, and I think that people who don't get Puresport, you know, or like maybe listening to this, being like, "That guy thinks it's more than it is," they'll probably think, "Oh, you just had the same colour socks on, it's not that deep." But actually what connected us was we had this thing in common, and this thing was this brand that stood for something, and we both resonated with it, and he didn't know who I was, and I didn't tell him. It was just a really nice moment, and off we went into the marathon.
Can I just call you out on something?
Let's do it.
You said you're not a deep guy.
I was just about to say that.
You
are
deep. I'm deep on brand.
You've got deep.
I'm deep
Your
on
depth,
brand. I'm deep on brand. I'm not deep on like
personal level.
Yeah, I'm not deep on like
personal like philosophy.
Yeah, personal life stuff. Yeah, I'm not that deep on that stuff.
Are you all in? You're all in on this brand.
Yeah, I'm all in. Yeah.
I'm interested in you behind closed doors as well. Then, so like, what are you doing away from the brand? Nothing.
Nah, I'd be doing 70 hours a week on Puresport.
Really?
Easy.
Wow.
But it's what I think one thing that's quite tough for me is when I meet friends who I had before Puresport, or rugby friends or whatever, and they're like, "You're addicted to work, man," and I'm like, "Yeah, I am," but like, don't think about it as work for me. It's not like I'm like sat in the office and like, "Oh man, I can't wait to go home." Like, I do it because I love it.
Yes.
And it's the phase in my life where I'm obsessed about this thing.
Yeah.
And I do really feel to like, you know, have those kinds of businesses that truly change a category or shape the world. Like, it does take obsession, because it's too hard not to love the thing that you're not. If you don't love the thing that you're doing, it's actually just too hard. You know. So yeah, I mean, outside of Puresport, I have a wife, but she also works in the business and is addicted. And we've shaped our whole life around Puresport, where we live. You know, talking about children and when we do that, because the business is so intense at this moment in time. You know, all of those kinds of things. So. I know that not everyone can resonate with that, and people are like, "Oh, you know, why does someone work so much?" and all that sort of thing. But and as I said before, it's not the financial possibility that fuels me. It's that I want to grow something category defining, and I want to grow something that people are like, "Shit, man, what Puresport did was crazy." You know, in 10 years' time, we've got a seat at the table with My Protein and Bulk and those other brands, and like, wow, those guys really shaped the category. But not only did they like grow a big business, they grew a business that like really positively impacted people.
And that's deep. By default. So like the fact, I'm just trying to work that out, mate, because I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. That's all I'm saying. So you might say deep through the brand, but what you're doing through the brand is very deep. And I don't think you can.
That's a good call.
Mate, you cannot separate the two, because you're the human that's driving this. So that's you. Give yourself a bit more credit on that, mate.
There's a theme as well that we've heard before this interview, and it's obsessed. We've heard that word already today, and it's that's the thing, isn't it? That is the thing. You know, what are you obsessed with, and channeling it to a point where you want to talk about it, do it, regardless of the financial outcome. Oh, what time is it? I need to clock off now. There's none of that.
Yeah, I think, and as I say, like I would never ask anybody to work as hard as I would in the business. You know, like I'm not saying like, oh, you know, we all have to be doing this thing, we're obsessed. Like, again, we attract people to the business who resonate with our mission, because again, it's too hard to not. If you viewed Puresport as a job, you may as well go somewhere else, because you're never going to get paid the most at Puresport, especially over the next 5 years as we're like trying to challenge and emerge, and you're going to have to work way harder than you are at other places for, you know, equal or less money. So we attract people to the business who are driven by that purpose and that mission as well, and I think that's a really like nice environment to be around.
By default, for the long run, if you're just going for a job for a year, you're not the right person, are you?
That's it. Yeah. Ask people in the interview what does for. I should actually do that. Actually, ask them in the interview what does for the long run mean to you, and then if they give a
first
crap
question,
answer,
mate.
no good.
That's your
maybe
first
first question, because I can save myself maybe half an hour.
Yeah. There you go, Dan. Check that out.
Yeah.
I love that.
I am interested, mate, in the origin of Puresport. I don't mean to go back there, but I know that it's evolved massively since the founders, you know, started this brand. I think it's interesting for people to learn a bit more about how it started, actually, and then when you got involved in it. So.
Yeah, so the two founders, Grace and Adam, they were both playing rugby, had a whole lot of bad rugby injuries, arthritic knees, shoulders, you know, operations and things, and they were just getting pumped with tramadols, which are like opioid-based painkillers that were really easy to get back then.
Special stuff, that.
Yeah. And rugby was so easy to get your hands on, you know, like because, you know, I've said this before, but you are just an asset. So they need you to play 80 minutes every week, and your body's kind of like, doesn't really matter. If they can play and they can give you some painkillers and get you through it, then off you go. So they both kind of realised, like, crap, I'm kind of getting addicted to these things and it doesn't feel that good, and I can't be doing this for the next 20 years, so I need to figure something out. And that's when CBD oil in the US was just like getting a bit of traction. They tried it over an off season and it worked really well for them in terms of inflammation, sleep, and how they were feeling. And it was a natural alternative that you could take for the next 20 years. But the problem back then was it wasn't tested, it wasn't certified for drug test athletes, it had come from a cannabis plant. And that kind of started their own personal discovery journey of like, well, if there isn't one that's tested, we'll just make one. But the founding premise of the business was that quick fix mentality, you know, of like, that doesn't feel good, it's only helping me for a moment in time, it's not got longevity about it, I couldn't be doing this for the next 20 years. And that's where that like thread has always supported, you know, Puresport in whatever category we've kind of done, because we were originally there, then we sort of did more holistic type things, nootropics, adaptogens, mushroom products, etc. And then we kind of realised, like, hey, if we're going to grow a massive business here, we are going to have to open up into like wider categories in sports nutrition, but also back to this authenticity piece. We just ask our customers, like, hey, what products do you want? And the same things are coming up. Oh, we want electrolytes, we want creatine, we want running gels. So we've kind of been guided by them, to be honest. And you know, as I've said before, like I want us to grow a category-defining brand, and we knew that we weren't really going to be able to do that in those like small, addressable market niches. So that kind of like is how things shaped. And as I said, I kind of joined the business around 10 months in. It was back then we were just selling really to rugby players because that was the network, and these guys had injuries, and it was easy to get to them because we knew lots of people who were playing there. Then we kind of really became a bit of a CrossFit business because people were spending a lot of money on their gym memberships. They were like, oh, they're going to care about, you know, they're going to care about their health. Again, we realised that was a small market, and then COVID, you know, happened. Running became a thing in COVID because it was the only thing we could really do. And coming out of that, we just kind of rode that wave. And I actually remember like when we were trying to get into running ourselves, because Graham was kind of going that way, and used to hate it, you know, like bad knees from rugby and ankles, and oh, this is so sore. But it's kind of like such a big part of the brand's DNA now, and you know, I love it for the physical, but also the mental benefits.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more of a mental challenge sometimes, like you said earlier. You know, if you get those negative voices 2 minutes into your run, you know, they can really take over. So it's everything that stands for, isn't it, as well? You know, and again, it's at a deeper level.
This is the deepest podcast I've ever done. Have you boys seen the film Air? That's about the Michael Jordan deal. So it's about Nike, but it's specifically about the Michael Jordan deal. And Phil Knight, I can't remember who plays the guy. I don't think it's Mark Wahlberg, but it's playing the guy who's trying to negotiate the deal with Jordan, and he's spotted him as like a up-and-coming rising star, and he wants to do the deal with him, and then Jordan's mum says, oh, we're only doing the deal if he gets a percentage of the the shoe
Really?
sales.
Right, yeah.
And no deal had ever been done like that before. Nike had never done that deal. It was like the first ever athlete equity type deal. And he was just like, Phil's never going to do that. This deal's never been done before. We're a public company, like that's never going to happen. And one night, the last night of the deal, I think that basically has a chance to happen before Jordan's going to go off and sign with Converse or whatever. He's sleeping on the couch in the Nike office, and Phil Knight comes back and he says, "Hey, let's do the deal." And he says to him, why did you change your mind? Because he'd been so rigid on it for the 2-3 weeks previous. And he says to him, I went on a run. And I was like, it's just such a, I think it's such a, and obviously Nike, the biggest running brand or biggest sports brand of all time. I just think that's something that we can all probably, resonate with, because sometimes you're just out there and there's that freedom of thought and there's that clarity that can kind of come with it. And, runners high is obviously something that's spoken about, and it's like sometimes it doesn't make sense, it just comes along and there it is. But when I heard that line in the movie, I think that's very similar to like my own personal journey in Puresport, and also like how we're trying to grow Puresport. We take a lot of inspiration from Nike. They really solidified a position in running before being wider into other sports.
Yeah.
And we think that provides the best foundation for us to branch into those other sports when the time is right.
Yeah, because running is used as a foundation for multiple sports and just general life. I must say, like, if I'm ever having a bit of a bad day, I'll just go for a run and it's all good. Mind settles down, you have clear thoughts, you have new thoughts coming in, and then you experience the runner's high. And it's a beautiful thing, man. So I think you're in a really special space there, aren't you? Yeah, man.
How do you look after your own personal health around obviously managing the brand? You've got a wife. Have you got anything specifically that's a non-negotiable for you in terms of products, your routine with exercise, your recovery, any other strategies that work for you?
Yeah, so I actually just did a couple of marathons recently, and I really enjoyed that. Over the last 5.5 years at Puresport, I'd set myself loads of little goals, but I'd always let Puresport get in the way. I'm like, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this training, then miss a few sessions, and then on to that. So for this one, for Berlin, I was like, right, for 16 weeks, I'm locking in, and no matter what, no matter how much work is, I'm not letting it get in the way.
Nice.
So I really enjoyed that commitment to myself. It meant that I was doing lots of miles late at night, but I really enjoyed the toxicness of running around at 10 o'clock at night by myself around the park with no one else around.
No one's out at this time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off because Berlin ended up being a terrible day for me. It was just a bad day in the office, and the marathon can do that to you, which is also one of the beautiful things. It's such a long distance that it can have those ebbs and flows, and it was also a really, really hot day there, which meant that it was tough, but I did enjoy that. And so around I take loads of the Puresport products. In the morning I take Tonka Ali, I take Lion's Mane, I take Cordyceps. Nice. I'm always taking the electrolytes. If I'm not training, I have watermelon. If I'm training post run or post gym and things, I take citrus salt. I think it's like that salty quenching saltiness after exercise. I think I absolutely love it. And then before bed I take magnesium. And then we brought out the running gels 2 weeks ago, so that was again something that was amazing for me to train with during the marathon block, get to sample, test it, all that sort of stuff, so that was great. I'd say I kind of really go on these ebbs and flows which aren't actually healthy, and I think that one of the things, I don't know if this is common for a lot of people, but I probably give out advice to people, advice that I don't necessarily always follow myself, about exercise,
I'm a coach, let's not go there.
But if you went and looked at my Strava account, you would literally be able to pinpoint the tough times of Puresport, because I'm like
quiet.
Yeah, so I'm doing these 50, 60k weeks or whatever, and then just boom, 3 weeks the guy's not run. So that is just the nature of it, and the business also comes in seasons and chapters. But I've exercised my whole life, and I really find that place of peace there. So I'm always trying to get in at least 4 or 5 sessions a week. As I said before, in terms of setting up my life, I've moved really close to the office now, and that was mainly because the commute was just a waste of time that I could be spending exercising or in the gym. So that's something I'm really looking forward to the next bit. But eating good food. I think what we say about supplements or about Puresport is supplements are what they say on the tin. They're a supplement. They're a supplement to a healthy lifestyle. So if you're eating good food and you've got good sleep and regular exercise, these things can help you. If you haven't got those things, go back to step one because those things are going to help you much more than that. And if someone comes to me and says, "Oh, hey, I can't sleep. Have you got anything that can help me?" I would say, well, are you exercising every day? What's your bedtime, routine? Are you eating? When are you eating? Are you eating at 9 p.m. at night and then trying to get down to bed at 10 o'clock?
It's not like a prescription or this will solve your problem. It's a place of care though, isn't it?
Exactly. And if they say, I'm doing all those things good, it's okay, cool, magnesium can help you, and magnesium is a great supplement for that. But if all these things are crap, then magnesium is not actually going to help you. And back to what you guys are saying there, what you kind of said was that is our brand. We're not in it to force products down people's throats that they don't need. We talk about being the brand that's here to support you wherever you are on your journey, and that support will come in different shapes at different moments in time. So if you're just coming, getting educated, and then you come back in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, that's a great situation for us. But we'd never try and force the sale on something that somebody doesn't need just because we want to get it.
Nice.
Well, that's honest. That's another strong value in it, mate. So that's refreshing as well. In terms of your personal learning, how do you like to learn?
Ooh, good question. I've always learned by doing. I
get that.
Yeah, I love the saying about if you drop a fish in water, it's going to learn how to swim. I think what I've realised about myself is that I think I'm really good at learning about 80% about something really fast. So I could about finance or about that, or if we sat down and talked about saunas for an hour, I'd get to 80% understanding really, really fast, and I'd be able to retain that information quite well. I'm not ever interested in a particular thing going 100%, and that's meant that I've gone on to become quite a generalist, which probably suits the role that I'm in now, and having good knowledge about all those things, but actually having better players in the team who are able to go to that 90, 100% on those things. So I think I've learned those things because I'm I think it's extremely important to be highly coachable, and I'll tell any young kids coming through or people early in their journey, be highly coachable, be highly curious. In sport we're so encouraged to get that feedback. How did I play, Dad? What did you think about this? Could I have done this better? Or to the coach, hey, was I in the right place on this? And you're seeking that feedback, and the same thing should happen when you go into work. Of hey, did I do this right? And hey, could I have done any better? And the best people that I see coming through our organisation are those people who are hungry for feedback. And I think it's something that I can see lacking a lot in the generation coming through. And I think it's because people think that feedback's gone on to become this criticism thing. If you're asking for feedback, it's what did I do wrong? It's it's not that. It's just so I really have tried to be highly coachable. I have a chairman now in the business who is also like a coach to me, and I'm always he's spent 25 years in sports nutrition, learning absorbing information. I think it's something that I think there's a lot of ego in business, and that ego doesn't quite exist in the same way in sport. In sport, we'll do whatever's right for the team. If you got injured on the wing and I was playing fullback and Stan, you have to go play on the wing, I'll go and play on the wing because that's what's right for the team. When in business, that isn't quite the same. And I think one thing I've noticed is going into the business world and meeting highly successful people, if I don't know what a word is in a room of smart people, I'll just say, hey, so I don't actually know what that word is. What is that? Or asking, I've never heard that phrase before. Can you tell me what that is? And being not almost vulnerable, but just being I'm not the smartest here. I really want to learn. But I think in business, a lot of people are trying to be that, and I think that
the fake it till you make it kind of mindset.
And I think when you're not there, it's kind of interesting to people of oh gosh, that guy he was happy to ask a few questions, and I was at this.
People drop the guard, don't they? Then and become a bit more authentic.
Yeah, I was at this big conference in Scotland on Friday for this thing, and there was 3 billionaires there, and I was I'm speaking all 3 billionaires. It's happening. Just straight over. Hey man, I'm Dan. This is Puresport. This is what we're doing. This is amazing. I was reading about your thing online and that, and I just love to chat to you and just whatever. And it's I think. So I think back to the original question about how do I like to learn. I will throw myself face first into anything. I'm not scared to sort of fail, and if it doesn't go well, I'm kind of like, you know what, let's move on to the next thing. And through that, try and absorb information as quickly as I can and go from there.
I love that, mate. And the fact that, you said that 3 billionaires, a lot of people have put these people on a pedestal and not even have the courage to even approach them, but it's important just to remember everyone's fucking human, man. Yeah. Everyone's human, and most people are willing to share what they've learned. And that's a nice thing to remember.
Yeah, they were all the hungry entrepreneur one day. Yeah. Well, 20, 30, 40 years ago for them.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. I think you two have got a lot in common when it comes to that.
Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yeah.
I can't believe some of the conversations that we have, and I'm like, you did what? You spoke to who? I'm like, oh my God, what have you done now? That kind of thing, but in a positive way. Yeah. And I appreciate that, and that's the yin yang thing that we've got going on. Like you're the one that sprints off and I'm like we're just trying to hang on a second, we need to navigate this, and that's how it works for us. Yeah, that's amazing. But I really applaud that, because it's something that I don't naturally possess, and fair play to you both for that.
I think probably like yourself, Dan, when you believe in something so strongly, there's no losses. It's just like, I'm going to speak to this person and tell them what I'm passionate about, and if they say no, if they say I don't want to talk to you, then it doesn't hurt anything internally. So it's just like you go to the next one and see what lands. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
it's back to that delusional optimism, and it's like,
oh
gosh, that guy didn't like me, but the next guy's gonna like me, so I'll go over here.
That's cool. That is cool.
So Dan, what is next for Puresport? What's next for you, mate, as a human as well?
Yeah, so we really want to close out, we're obviously into November now, so we want to close out the year. We're on track to hit our numbers if things go right for us over the next 7 weeks. So that's a good result. We took on some investment earlier this year, and from two highly credible, two of the best investors funds in Europe. So that does change the dynamic of the business. There's people there. It's like, their job is to make money for their investors. So when you bring that into the business, there's that expectation. But there's also, for me, I feel that excitement. Is like, I love the challenge. I love that we've now got this, and that they back Puresport to be a big business. So I've really enjoyed that thing. So hit our numbers the rest of this year. We're mapping out. I've got a big board thing next week about our numbers for next year, and actually a bit of a 3-year plan. And within that, we're really the 3 big things for us is making sure we've got the products that people want from us and expanding the product portfolio, our distribution, and being in the places that people want us to be. You can have the most emotionally connected brand in the world, but if you go into Holland and Barrett and you're buying running gels and we're not there to have a fight with the other brand there in terms of your decision making, then it doesn't matter how cool our brand is. So we need to be in those places in which people are shopping. So expanding our distribution is a good one, and then the other big one for us is just continue to evolve the brand and invest in what makes us special. Keep listening to our customers, do storytelling that's authentic to us, all those kinds of things, because if Puresport's going to be a big business and it's going to be attractive to somebody to buy, or maybe at a moment down the line, although it's maybe not something I think about a lot, you have to build something that they can't build. If we're just building something that has no purpose and it doesn't really have a brand behind it, it's just some products in a package. Nestle or Unilever, all those big acquirers, they can do that themselves. What they buy is things that are special that they can't do themselves or don't have the time to do. So brand's one of our big USPs, and it's not a USP because we think that that's what gets us bought by one of those companies. It's our USP because it's connection, it's people, it's authenticity, it's deep.
There it goes.
So next year I think this year I would say it's felt like a very foundational year for us. Figure out a lot of things in the business, bring some talent into the room, do a bit of growing up as you kind of do at this size. And then next year I think could be a really breakaway year for us, which I think could be really exciting.
Yeah.
That's cool. What events have you got coming up as well? Because you've got your supplements, you've got community, and you've also got events as well. So can you share a little bit about that? Because somebody might be like, oh, well, what does that look like? And it's not just that 1 or 2 things. It's it's an umbrella of things that are connecting people.
No, definitely. So we do we have a clubhouse in Hackney, which is in East London. We do runs from there every Tuesday morning, every Saturday morning. And then we're trying to do more stuff up and around the country. Nothing between now and the end of the year, but coming into the new year, we should have some cool stuff on that. And anyone who's looking around that, just keep follow us on Strava or the Instagram page. We've got a cool thing going on for Black Friday. So last year we did this thing called the Gift It Back box. Did you guys see that? It was like we sent out 500 empty boxes to influencers.
Yeah.
And they opened up the box and it said, hey, this box is empty, but it's full of opportunity for you to give back on Black Friday, things that you're not going to use or things that you've been gifted by brands that you haven't opened or they've still got the tags on. They then sent us back them in the shoe boxes. We then took them down to a local charity that provides exercise and like sport to disadvantaged kids in London, and we gave them all the kit and stuff. So that was really, really cool. So we're doing something again similar this year, but we're asking a lot more brands to be involved. This year, Greenhouse have asked us if we could try and figure out a way for it to be cash, because obviously cash is easier for them to use. We also hadn't thought about lots of the kids, maybe like the sizing wasn't quite right for them and stuff last year, but we navigated that. So this year we're doing a very similar thing, sending out lots of boxes to influencers, but also getting lots of brands involved to send us back stuff. We're holding a flea market in Hackney for people to come down, buy brand new gym kit, stuff from brands, raffle prizes and things, and then donating all that money to Greenhouse. So that'll be a really cool event. And we sort of see this as a time of year of like where there's a lot of excess. People buy a lot of stuff because it's on sale and they think they're getting a deal and all that sort of thing. And we don't really do sales really as a brand. Around Black Friday we do 3 for 2 because we sort of say, hey, if you're wanting to invest in your health, we're happy to support you on that, so buy 2 and get 1 free. Also, we try and say to people like, now's such a good time to get started for the new year. Don't waste like getting to Christmas and then be like, 1st of January, new year, new me. Like, let's start those good habits now, and then you can roll into the new year with a bit of momentum. But yeah, we're really trying to, like, in terms of that community thing, do stuff around the country, do stuff that's cool and stuff that is sort of like elevated, as opposed to over the last 4 years we've done a lot more of the like just week in, week out, same stuff, meet at the same spot, etc., which a lot of brands are doing now. So we're always trying to like think about how do we stay ahead.
Different.
Nice.
Love that.
We're coming close to the end, mate. I'm mindful of your time. Because this is such an entrepreneurial kind of talk, for people that have started a business or they're very new to it, let's say they're in the first couple of years and they're finding it tough, what's that one thing that you would say to them that's very tangible advice based on what you've experienced as an entrepreneur up to now? Yeah,
tough times don't last, tough people do. And I think that's something I've always just lived by, and I always think like when you're in those tough times and they come, then the next one's just around the corner. You sometimes just can't see the wood for the trees and thinking like, oh God, is this going to go away and this manufacturer's let me down and I'm going to run out of cash or whatever. But yeah, I just really believe that you navigate through those things, you come out stronger. And one of the things I talk about like resilience, it's sort of like you were talking about before, is like if you think about being in a spot where you're finding it really difficult and you're thinking about, I'm going to turn back here on this run or this business decision or whatever, if you have the courage to take that step forward, you have gone further than somebody else. So somebody else is going to stop there. And so you've moved yourself further than that person there. But back to sort of what I was saying, is like you've also taught yourself that next time that comes about, I can do that. I've kind of been here before. And I have this like bit of a toxic thing about me around, about this like self-belief and things of like, keep on going, because every time you do, you're leaving people behind who aren't willing to go there. And to do what we want to do with Puresport, I think that we do really have to do that. But I think, so I'd say that's what people, but also I'd say make sure, this piece of advice is depending on what people are trying to build, but if you're trying to build something like a Puresport that's very purpose-driven, etc., like you boys, like make sure you are really aligned to that purpose, because that purpose can carry you through tough times more than you think, because of that. You just, that thing's just so embedded in you. If you're just doing something that's, I'm trying to get this because I want this money to buy this car or whatever, like I don't think that carries you as much. But also that's coming from a very deep, purposeful.
This guy's not deep. That's the funniest line of the podcast.
Purposeful guy. Whereas some people will say, well, actually, fuck that. I'll sell anything to anybody, and I'm doing it for the money. So that's what motivates me. But that would be my advice.
Honestly, I believed in your brand before I met you. Now I believe in the brand times 10, because I think you're a passionate, deep, purposeful, energetic human being, mate, and I'm going to back you wherever you take it, basically, mate. So
appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been
honestly, mate,
great connection, and when Kate said, it's Kate, isn't it? Kate, Phil's wife. Brooke. Sorry, my bad. When Brooke said we'll have to edit that, but otherwise she'll
love it.
When Brooke said that about meeting up with you guys and stuff, it was like, oh, that sounds awesome. So thank you so much for having me on, and same back to you guys. What you're doing and being involved in the fitness world, as we're talking about, it's very empowering, and I think it's a really cool space to be in, and it's been great to meet and chat.
Awesome, mate. And hopefully you can show us a nice place for some food afterwards, mate, 'cause we're starving.
A couple of pints of Tetley's.
Yeah, I'll check that.
Yeah, mega.
Awesome.
Cheers, lads.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Fist bump. There you go.
Bosh.
Nice one.